Hello, and welcome to Creating with Colleen, where I may teach you what to do, I may teach you what not to do, but I promise to teach you something. Today I want to show you one card 3 ways. I like to have a pattern and show some different versatility in it all, and these were 3 fun cards that I love because it's actually a side pull-out card. I'll pull out to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how to make it, and I'm going to show you how to make these 2. This was where my inspiration first came from. I have a dear friend and team member, Janet Court, and she gave me this card, and I loved it. And I had done a card similar to it. I have another video, but it didn't have the base piece. It was a little bit different of the layout on the inside. So I just fell in love with this. So this is, of course, using a circle with the scallop circles and just different designer paper, beautiful stamp set, well done stamp set. And then I thought, okay, I always like to start with a little bit of inspiration, whether it's a card layout, whether it's colors or whatever. And I absolutely love the Snowflake Splendor Suite. So I'm going to show you first how to make this card. Now the Snowflake Splendor Suite, that is on page 37 of the 2020 mini catalog, and it is a gorgeous suite of products. It has a Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper, and this paper is actually on sale for $9.78 through this month, which is October. So if you purchase this before October 31st, you can save 15% on this beautiful paper. But I'm also using the Winter Snow embossing folder. Beautiful touch for some snowflakes on the front. I'm using the Balmy Blue Glimmer paper, the blue adhesive backing gems. So using almost everything in the suite but the ribbon, and if I knew where to put a piece of ribbon, I would have used that too. So this is what the stamp set actually looks like. This is page 38, and this is Snowflake Wishes. And I think what really sold me on this bundle, not just the beautiful dies, but the fact it's really not just a Christmas set. You know, of course, you have Snowflake Wishes for Merry Christmas, May Your Season Sparkle, but I also love Thank You So Much. Our friendship is one of a kind. So you can see it would be a stamp set that you can use, you know, pretty much throughout the year if you're a freak about snowflakes, but if not, definitely in the colder months, well into the spring. So you can purchase just the stamp set for $26, but I also recommend purchasing the So Many Snowflake dies, because when you purchase the 2 together, you are going to save 10%. And of course, they coordinate so well with each other. So with the dies, you have dies that cut this snowflake, this one, and this one. But then you also have some standalone dies. So let me show you just a couple of them. This would cut a beautiful snowflake out of a window. Here's some additional snowflakes, but probably one of my favorites is this border right here. And when you cut this into a piece of paper, you get a card that looks like this. So the actual die was cut into a piece of Whisper White cardstock. You can stamp on the inside, but I love how these snowflakes are coming out from this border. And then, of course, there's that beautiful shimmery blue glitter paper. So let us get started. So I call this card a side pull-out card. And again, the reason I do is because, well, you know, it pulls out from the side. So to make a card like this, you have some basic measurements that is going to work for both cards that I'm showing you. So for your basic card measurements, you can take a picture of this here, stop, pause, whatever you have to do, or I can just tell you what it is. So what I have, oh, my colors, I'm trying to think. My color is, you know how you're thinking of a color and then I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? It's one of the new in colors, excuse me, Misty Moonlight. Okay, so here we have Misty Moonlight cardstock. It's 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and I scored it at 4 1/4. Next, these again are basic pieces to make a card like this. Next, you have a piece of Whisper White that is 8 inches by 5 1/4. and you're going to score it at 4 inches and 6 inches. You might not be able to see that, but it is scored so that it will fold like that. That is your pullout. Then for the front, you're going to have a piece of 4" by 5 1/4. And again, I have already embossed this with the Snowflake folder, embossing folder. So that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then for the inside, I have a strip of designer paper that coordinates with all of this. So this is 1 7/8 by 5 7/8 if you want a small border around. If you don't like getting that close on your measurements, I was a drafter for many, many years before I was a stamper. But if you don't like to measure in 1/8, then do it 1 3/4 by 5. It's just going to give you a 1/4 inch around, and it'll still look just as good. So to do this card, what we're going to do is, again, I have this piece here. I'm just going to fold this in half. And my bone folder. And then I'm going to take my piece of balmy blue with the snowflakes, and I'm going to put this on the front. Put my adhesive here. Oh my goodness. You know, everything goes great till you turn the camera on. Remember, I'll teach you what to do or not to do. Can't say I didn't warn you. So this is going to go right up here. And then for your inside, I'll get to that in a minute. We'll stamp that in a minute. But basically, it looks kind of like a normal card here. But what you have to do is you have to cut a window into this front piece. And it's going to be whatever your outside piece is, the largest piece. So for the snowflake, I have a few other additional parts. I have the 3" scallop circle from the squares from the layering squares. I have a piece of the Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper that is 2 5/8 inch square. Then I already cut this out, but I stamped in balmy blue this snowflake here. It's about a 2.5 inch snowflake or whatever. It's a larger one in there. And then I have, out of the Highland Heather cardstock, this really cute tiny snowflake. So I don't lose this little guy. I'm just going to take a glue dot, put it on the back, and pull that off. And I'm just going to layer this right in the center here. So that is my snowflake. Now, anybody knows me knows I do love a little bit of bling, and I don't care how I get the bling. What my favorite, of course, my favorite is to take shimmer paint. So this sells, it's hard to find in the catalog because it's so little, but this sells on page 147 for $8, and there's 2 types of shimmer paint I'm using today. There's a champagne mist and then a shimmery white. So for my snowflake, I want to do a shimmery white. So what I'll do, in fact, I think I'm going to shimmer this whole piece because it's absolutely gorgeous. I will go ahead and just go around here. And since I would never use this much adhesive because I'm telling you, this Stamp and Seal is extremely strong. But I just want to make sure it's going to stick well because when I mist it with my spray, I want to make sure that it's going to stick really good to my scallop square. So the way you mix this up is this is the shimmer white. So you want to use the 70% rubbing alcohol. Get you a little bottle from whatever store you shop at. It's in the travel section. And you're going to fill it up with 70% alcohol. And then you want to just pour a little bit of that shimmer paint in there. And there's never a method just how much you want it to shimmer. Just remember, you can always put more in. You just can't take it out. So now I'll take my snowflake with a dimensional. And I am going to attach this to the front here. And always shake it up because the shimmer paint does settle to the bottom. But it is just gorgeous. Of course, mine got a real bath. But the reason you use alcohol because it's going to dry a whole lot quicker than water would. Now with the shimmery white, it's just that. It is a shimmer white. On the Christmas tree, I am going to use the champagne mist, and that's a little bit more of a gold glimmer. So what I need to do is to make this pop out the front of my card. So what I'll do is I'm going to open this up. Again, I'm going to use the large scallop here, and I'm going to cut through the front. Now, don't make the mistake. This would be don't do what I tell you, what I tell you not to do. I've actually seen people not, thinking about it, not have this open, and you can cut through all your cardstock. You want this to be open. And since I'm not using a magnetic plate, I like to use a little Post-it note to make sure that this is going to stay in place exactly where I want it. So I have my cutting edge down. I'm just going to take my Post-it note and put it on here. I'm going to bring over my new Big Shot. New die cutting machine. It's a lot of fun. I think it glides very smoothly. I really do like it. So I'm going to put this on here, make sure I'm even. Put the plates in, and then I will just roll this through. Whew. Okay, nice and tight. But you got to remember too, I am cutting through 2 pieces of cardstock. So I will take my little Post-it note off and pop this out. Let me sit back down. And there's my window that my snowflake will come through. So what I'll do next is, I'll make sure I'm in the screen. Yes, we're still good. Is now I'll decorate my inside piece. So for the inside, again, I'm using the Snowflake Wishes stamp set. So in the Highland Heather, I am going to stamp May Your Season Sparkle, and hopefully it will. So I will stamp my sentiment. Then with the Balmy Blue, we're going to have some snowflakes in here. So what I'll do, just to give a little bit of dimension, I am going to stamp my snowflakes down at the bottom, and then without re-inking, I can just give a little huff and stamp them, and they're a little bit lighter on top. And it always matches because, it's the same blue. And then I'm going to take that piece of designer paper that I was talking about, and I'm just going to put that, I got a new one here. Oh my goodness, anytime I get a new one, it takes me just a few minutes to get it rolling, and I just put in a new refill. Okay, so I will take this and just layer it on top. I got to see where my edges are. Ooh, I'm loving it. And then this will go inside. So whenever it's not on the wheel, just roll it a little bit. And you just want to pull it and just lightly pull up like that. The problem, and that's what I do whenever I get started, is I have too much pressure when I pull up. You just ever so lightly kind of pull up. And you can just do this all day long. Okay. So this will get centered in here just like a regular card center would. So see how that pulls out? And then when you go to center it in here, you're going to close this with it folded, and you want to put your tape on here. So put me 2 good strips. Then I will take, let me see, oh my gosh, decisions. Which way do I want this to go? I think I want it this way. So you're actually going to slide this inside the window. And then when you pull it through, that's how your card goes together. So now I need to put down here, I need to put this label. So to make that, I'm using the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. And I love this because I can do labels as long as I want in 1/2 inch, 3/4, or 1 inch in 2 different end designs. So one thing that you have to remember when you're doing this is that when you do slide your paper in here, when I go to cut this and I slide it in, is that it's going to take off like 1/8 of an inch on each end. So for this label here, what I did is this Highland Heathered piece is about 3 7/8 by 1 inch. It's your 1 inch wide. And then, well, I'll explain the whisper white in a minute because there's a little trick with that. So I also like to slide it in upside down just so I can make sure that I'm nice and even there. So there's one side. Slide it in nice and even. So here I have my Highland Heather label. Now for the Snowflake wishes, you can basically, if you need a little extra room, I would make this probably 3/4 wide by about 3 1/4 long, because you're going to cut right up to these words. So this way you're not getting so centered, you know, either way. So I would just make it, if you want 3 1/4, you can just trim right up to the words. And then I thought that fit in there pretty nice. So here I will stamp my Snowflake wishes. Now I'm living dangerously. This will end up being about 3 1/16 when it's, you know, again, just cut the edges. Don't get all, you know, caught up in dimensions. But mine should just about fit. So not really having my head underneath it, right over it. Let's hope it works. Ah, thank you, Lord. There you go. So I have the Snowflake wishes. I'll just take this and I will put this on my piece of the Highland Heather. Oh, good gosh. Tell you what, this stuff, when it sticks, it sticks. Nobody's ever going to tell you that their card is falling apart again, I promise you. It is wonderful things. There. So I have this piece. So I am going to go ahead and put on some dimensionals. Let me slide this here. So I will take this and I'm going to put it right down at the bottom here. Now, of course, we need to add a little bit of bling. So these are the blue adhesive backed rhinestone gems, and they have some that are a little bit of a green or golder tint and some that look a little more like the balmy blue. So I'm just going to take one of each. And I don't know that you can see it from a video, but it really adds so much. And I was going to put one in the middle here, but what I found was, since it was the Highland Heather, I didn't get the pop that I wanted. So I'm just going to use one of the rhinestone gems that we have, the little diamond looking ones. And that gave that more of a brighter pop than those down there. So with that, let me see. That is the Snowflake card. And then when I open it, opens to the side. So just a fun card. So again, there are basic pieces, but it just depends on how the center is. So we saw the one way with the whale done. Here's the second way with the snowflakes. Let me show you another one. And this here was the original one that my stamp clubs did that I fell in love with. Now this also uses designer paper that is on sale. And let me go to it since I had to remember the Misty Moonlight. Okay, this here features the In Good Taste. This In Good Taste designer paper is actually a larger pack of designer paper. You have 24 sheets instead of 12, but it is absolutely gorgeous, because they're photographic images and it's like visual textures. And it just works for so many projects. You have ceramic, you have marble, you have wood grain, and you really want to try to get this while it's on sale in October, because it's normally $21 and right now it's on sale for $17.85, but it works for a host of patterns, especially for masculine cards. So the next bundle I'm featuring, this is on page 43 of the mini catalog. And this is called In the Pines. And this, of course, if you're an outdoorsy person, fall's my favorite time of year, you are going to love In the Pines. And it has some great dies that I'll show you. Let me just come up here real quick. But with the dies, they even have snow like hills that you could cut out a whisper white, making it so much easier than trying to get a choppiness with your scissors. And if you look at our catalogs, if it is in tan, if it's highlighted in tan, that means that it has a coordinating punch. If it's highlighted in the gray like this is, that means that it has a coordinating die. So you also have dies to match this tree, this one, these trees here, and wait till I show you what this one does, because I absolutely love it. Plus there's usually a couple other dies in there. So once again, if you purchase the stamp set and the dies together, you are going to save 10% off of the dies and the stamp set. So this is going to be the second card that I make. And again, this is the one that my Stamps Clubs made that I loved because it uses that textile paper. So we have some nice wood grain. I open it up and I pull it out and I have a fun Christmas card. So keep in mind, again, I'll go over the basics with you, but then it's just whatever shape you choose to put in the front of your card. And that makes it endless. How you can do, for example, this, the one card 3 ways. So to do this, again, I have the card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'll put these here in case you're a visual person like me. So again, I'm going to fold this. I have the front piece, 4 by 5 1/4. I have my pull-out piece, which is 8 by, that doesn't look right. 5 1/4, that does not look right. Hold on. Yep, 5 1/4, and that's right. Goodness. Okay, let's do this again. 8 by 5 1/4, scoring it at 4 6, and then my inside strip of designer series paper, which is either the 1 7/8 by 5 1/8, which is mine, or 1 3/4 by 5. For a minute there, I thought I had a wrong measurement. I didn't. I just had too many numbers in my head. So I'm going to score these, and since I know it pulls out to the side, I'm just going to go ahead and put my designer paper there. And the beauty of it is, you know, you always have options with your designer paper, because Stampin' Up! Designer paper has a beautiful design on each side. So I'm just going, since it's such a fine line there, I'll put this in there. And I have my folded piece. So I'll put that aside to stamp in a minute. Then with this piece, go ahead and put it on the, let me get it. I want to get it in here real good. Okay. So I will layer this onto the piece of cherry cobbler. Okay. And now I'm using an oval. So the other pieces that I will have, I'll go over the embellishments in a minute. But the other pieces that I have for this in the pines, is again from the layering ovals. Any of the layering dies are great for your shapes. I have a 3 1/2 inch oval of cherry cobbler cardstock. Then I took the one that was next down, and this is a 3 1/4 inch oval. And then I used that die that I was telling you about. I'll explain that in a minute. Now there's another designer paper on sale called 'Tis the Season. That is in the mini catalog. That is on sale. It's a 6 by 6 pack. It's on sale for $9.78. And this, I have a 2 by 2 1/2 inch piece. And then I just have a scrap piece of the soft suede. So what I want to show you is how this tree die works. Very, very cool. So with the tree die, again, this is a stamp set. These are the dies, which don't tell you much right there looking at it. But when you open this up, if I was to take, and it has so many dies, you see your snow, the edges of the snow, you see your trees. Well, in here, what I cut with this one out of the oval, this is the die that will cut that. So all these little pieces come out. So I had my oval, I put this in there, ran it through my die cutting machine, and it gave me that. But here's what is so cool, is if I take the outline die, of course, I can cut trees of any, type that I want. I can cut the trees, and it also has a matching stamp that it cuts. But if I put these two together, They snap in just like that. So it almost looks like it's one die. And if I cut it at the same time, then I'm going to get an actual Christmas tree that is cut out, because you have the inside being cut, and then this is cutting it on the outside. So I really just think Stampin' Up! Does an amazing job on the way their dies cut, the way they coordinate with their stamp sets, and I just think they're beautiful. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, in order to put this together, I need that designer paper behind my tree. So I'm just going to take some adhesive, and I'm going to put it right here. So I just put a little bit of tape up underneath there. And then I'm going to take the 2 by 2.5 inch piece of designer paper, and I'm just putting it right at the bottom of my trees. Just want to make sure they're covered like so. Oops, got a little piece sticking out there. Let me put it down, it's much easier. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's how I got the color under my tree. And then I just took my scissors, I just kind of pulled that back. This does not have to be pretty because nobody's going to see it. Just snip these corners off so nobody sees those. And then that part is my tree. Now for my stem, of course I don't need all this. I can make it a little bit thinner. But on my stem, I turned it over, and I'm going to put a little bit of the adhesive there. And then I'm just going to cover, actually what I can do first, get these corners off. They just get in the way. And then I'm just going to put that where my stem is. And that's how my tree comes together. And then I'm just going to take this whole piece and I'm going to put it onto my cherry cobbler oval. And of course, you know I have to shimmer it, so I'm going to do that right away. So here's my shimmer paint. Again, this time I'm using champagne. So shake it up, give it a good little mist. Oop, didn't miss the top. And then I'm just going to set this aside for a little bit and let that dry and punch the front of the card. So again, we know we have to make that oval in the front. So I use the large oval, not the center one, but I'm going to use the large oval. I'm going to get another Post-it note. And I will put it on here. I'm going to hope my mat stays in place when I try to put this through the die cutting machine, because she was all over the place. In fact, let's just move it for a minute. I'll just have to get everything lined up again. No worries. So I'll put my machine down. Put in my plate. Again, make sure it's open. Don't cut it like this. Make sure it is open, that your plates are even. So when you crank this through, here we go. Yeah, that's much better. Just couldn't have something underneath that sliding away. Okay. Let me put this back. There we go. So then when I take this off, I've got my opening. So back to the center. Now the cool thing is I actually used the sentiment from the Snowflake stamp set. I really liked it. So I'm going to take cherry cobbler. And when you do this, well, when I put it in here, I'll show you. I'll show you what not to do, because that's what I did the first time and you didn't see that one. But I stamped the sentiment right in the center. And then I like, this is garden green. And I'm going to take this. And I love the way these trees stamp. So down on the bottom here, can you see how it's like a variegated, it's a light and a dark? Really, really is pretty. And actually, while I have my green open, I'll go back and do one for the Snowflake. I don't like naked envelopes. I feel like when you're sending a hand-stamped card through the mail, it's fun to see something on the envelope even before you open your card. So I'm going to take, they have a larger tree, which is really nice. And I'll stamp it in the bottom left corner of my envelope. So no naked envelopes. And I'll set that aside. So now that I have that stamped, I will turn it over. Put my, there we go. Put this on the inside. Okay. And then for here, I am going to close it like I did before. Oh, got a little bit of gummy on there. I can get that off with a adhesive remover when I'm done. But I'm going to take my adhesive with it closed, only put it on this side of the opening because that is where my oval is going to go. That's how I get it right every time. And then when I open it, you go like that. So what I was going to tell you, the first time I did a card, I had something stamped. Oh, I thought, oh, it would look great over here like in the top left corner. But when I closed it, you could see it sticking out. So I didn't want to do that. Whatever I do, my sentiment, I kind of want it underneath this centerpiece, like that. So now let's go ahead and embellish it up. I have, again, I used the Lovely Label Pick-a-Punch. I already did those pieces, but basically what I have was a piece of cherry cobbler that was the 3/4 wide by 3 inches, and then a Whisper White that was a 1/2 inch wide by 2 3/4. So again, a rule of thumb is whatever you want your finished size to be, add on a 1/4 inch more, because when you use the punch, it's going to take off about an 1/8 inch on each side. So I will take the Season's Greetings. I will stamp that in the center here. And of course, that will go on the cherry cobbler. Like that. Let me get 2 dimensionals. You always have to have some kind of a dimension on a card. Okay, that's a bit of an overkill, but one stuck to my finger, so this one gets 3. I know it'll be sitting up very nicely. So I will put this on here. Now I absolutely love the Star Designer elements. These definitely coordinate with our Christmas trees. We also have a Christmas tree punch, but I love that it is the perfect star to go on top of my trees. And then we have these little red jewels. So they always tell you the work in odd numbers. So I'm just gonna put 1. But honestly, they give you so many of these, you could put as many as you want on your tree. They really last a small lifetime. 2, 3, let's see what I got here. 4, and this, again, this just makes it light up. These are so pretty and so bright that it really does look like they are lights on your Christmas tree. Oh goodness, should I? I know I should stop there. You know, there's like a fine line of like gaudy and nice, but golly day, these are really fun. Let me put one more. They give you like 100 and some in a pack, so all right, I got to do one more. Okay, I'm just getting totally carried away. There, I have a very decorated Christmas tree, but I like it. So here you have the Season's Greetings. Pull it out. In the coldest moments of the year, my heart is warm because you're near. So these are the cards I wanted to share with you today. Again, I'm calling it 1 card, 3 ways, because basically you have these cards. Let me push this down just a little bit so it'll stay shut a little bit for you. You have 3 pull-out cards, but again, it's endless. Just change whatever you want on the inside. And Janet, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Again, I had done one similar years ago, totally forgot about it, but how much fun can you have with all the different stamp sets and shapes and dies? So have fun, do something creative. You know, life has been crazy, needless to say, but you can always enjoy and relax. And I always think you need to keep your mind and your hands going together. So if I can help you with any of these products, if you would like to purchase any of these products, please go to my blog. It is creatingwithcolleen.typepad.com. You can request my newsletter there, and you can purchase. You can hopefully go to YouTube and support me, because I would love to bring more great creative ideas to you. So thank you so much for joining me. And I also do a Facebook Live every Wednesday at noon, that's Eastern Time, on my Creating with Colleen Facebook page, where I also share inspiration there. So may God bless you. And again, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Take care.